And welcome back to In the Cage with Bards here on NextSportsStar.com. Joined by Sarah Cheesecake Morris, talking about her victory last night on The Ultimate Fighter Season 18. And also joined now by Louis Fisette, another member of Team Tate on that program. Louis, we were just talking about Sarah and her victory and her incredible armbar finish, putting away the queen of the armbar's pupil there with the own move. Louis, what were your thoughts on Sarah's fight?
Oh my God, who cares about the armbar? Did you see that ground and pound?
That was nasty.
Nasty. I remember I was sitting there in the stands watching, and I was like, "Oh God, this sounds like it hurts."
It did. I noticed that on the episode itself. Just every time Sarah's fist made contact with Peggy's face, I just kind of winced a little bit. You know, I love a good scrap, but I was like, wow, this is like, you know, watching a lion beat up a rabbit almost.
Just, yeah, huge punches, big damage. It was entertaining.
Yeah. And Sarah, before we went to break, I wanted to mention this to you, that I loved your post-fight interview afterwards. You know, people saying, oh, you know, now they can see what I can do. But can I get a, oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
There we go. That's what I wanted to hear. And the next round matchup for you, Sarah, is against Juliana Pena. You said repeatedly on this program that you don't particularly like Juliana. Was it her attitude, or does the fight have a lot to do with it as well?
No, it was mostly her attitude. She's very different than the people I hang out with at home. It's hard to explain. She sort of she says stuff to you just to, I don't know, try to fuck with your head, because I think it would fuck with her head, but she's just, I don't know, she seems fake.
What about it, Louis? Is Juliana attempting to play mind games and just doesn't have the mental capacity to pull it off?
I don't know what it is with her. I mean, she's just, I don't know, she just kind of rubbed everybody the wrong way. And, you know, I was thinking about it the past couple weeks, and I was wondering, I wonder why everybody didn't like her. And I can't actually put my finger on exactly why, but it was kind of a unanimous decision. Everyone disliked her for a certain reason. And I kind of feel bad now, because it's like I didn't really have a valid reason, but at the time it was, you know, it was just something about her. Just, you know, I think she jived.
I think maybe she was a bit of an attention whore. She sort of always had to look good for the cameras, always be in front of the cameras, always try to be heard, like yelling when we're fighting, saying retarded stuff that doesn't even make sense while we're fighting, just to sort of hear her own voice. I think she just tried to get as much airtime as possible, which, I mean, I guess you can hate someone for that, but yeah, everyone's sort of their own way, does their own thing, sort of thing. I don't know.
What about it, Louis? Was Juliana there to be a reality TV star?
I think, yeah, a lot of people got that feeling about her. You know, she was on the cameras and she always got dolled up and stuff, so I think that did rub some people the wrong way. And yeah, I don't know. I think it's just with 15 people there, not everyone's going to get along, and I think she was one of the ones who got, you know, along worse with the rest of us.
Sarah, were you surprised that when you were watching last night's episode back, that Ronda and Misha actually seemed to agree on the matchups for the next round? They haven't agreed on anything this far.
I don't think it's that weird. Well, like, Misha told us that they both said that, so, I mean, as long as Misha was telling me the truth, I sort of expected to hear that.
All right, what about you, Louis? Were you surprised that the coaches saw the matchups the same way?
I think the coaches wanted to set up, you know, good matchups overall, and I think they did a good job at that. Style-wise, I think, you know, Raquel likes to stand, so does Jessica. And then we have, you know, the other two girls who wanted to kind of go to the ground. So the female matchups were, I think, reasonable. I think they all agreed, because those were the right matchups to make, and same with the guys.
Mm-hmm. All right, now the other big issue of the episode was Cody Bollinger, picked first overall and looked to be one of the odds-on favorites to win the season. Did not fight because he could not make weight, and that is just an incredible blunder on his part. I know making weight sucks, but you know, especially when you saw his speeches about, you know, he's fighting for his family. He's not going to let this opportunity pass him by. Sarah, what was your thoughts when you heard that Cody was not going to make weight?
Like, it was definitely different for me than it was for pretty much anyone else, because I was in that sauna. I was cutting that weight at that same time. So for me, it was definitely a different scenario than anyone else. And I was sort of, when you're cutting weight, you're in a different state of mind. So me personally, I was a bit pissed off at the time. Like, I felt like no one was really watching me while I was cutting weight, making sure I wasn't passing out in the sauna, you know, making sure I was on weight. They actually pulled me out of the sauna because Cody lied about his weight to see if the scale's wrong because I was close to weight. So, I don't know. I was pissed off at the time, but then again, thinking about it, they don't make it easy making weight in that house when everyone's losing and eating shit and there's always shit around and you can write whatever you want on your list and it shows up the next day. It makes it different.
So did you kind of really feel like you were the second priority behind Cody Bollinger when it came to the weight cutting? I mean, he was getting all the coaches' attention and you were just kind of left to fend for yourself. Am I hearing that right?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. And Louis, what did you think when you heard that Cody had given up on making weight?
I mean, I was kind of a little bit upset about it. I was actually really looking forward to seeing Cody fight. I missed his fight to get in the house. I had fought a couple fights before him, or right after him, and I had missed it. So I was kind of looking forward to seeing him, fight Anthony. So I was a little bit upset about that. And I mean, I honestly did kind of feel bad for the guy. I mean, yes, he did do it to himself, but obviously he didn't do it on purpose. He didn't intentionally miss weight. He didn't intentionally, eat crap the weeks leading up to it. Yes, did he have control over it? But I did kind of feel bad for him. Especially watching it back, it's one of those things that, I mean, I lost in the house, so I know exactly how it feels to have your dreams taken from you. And I think he took his dreams away from himself, let's say, you know what I mean? So to realize he had to go home now and explain to his wife and kid, why he was home early and what had happened, I think that'd be tough. So I feel for the guy, and, I was really looking forward to seeing him fight.
What did you think, Louis, about Misha and Brian? They just seem to like to let him call it quits. I mean, ultimately it's Cody's decision, but Ronda Rousey made the point later on that, hey, if this is my teammate, my pupil, whatever, I'm doing everything I can to make sure that he makes weight. Is there any culpability here on Misha and Brian?
I'm going to go with no. Here's the thing with TV, people don't realize is they can cut it and edit it however they want to make it look. So. Misha and Brian had done a lot more than they showed. They actually, why would they come to the house? If they didn't care, they would have said, fine, call it quits at the gym, and that's it. They dragged themselves to the house, they dragged him into the bath, and you can only do so much, you know what I mean? So, on TV, like I said, they edited it the way they wanted to look. So, I'm sure they omitted some things that did make Brian and Misha look good. So, you know what I mean? I think Misha and Brian did all they can, and at the end of the day, it was Cody's decision, and he decided to, not continue.
Okay, what about it, Sarah? Does Misha and Brian have any responsibility in Cody not making weight?
I think to some extent, it's hard to say, it is definitely on Cody, and if I were to miss weight, I wouldn't blame it on my coaches. I'd take the credit, or whatever it's called when you fuck up. But I know, with my coach at home and stuff, I know I've had tough weight cuts where I'm like, I don't know if I can do it anymore. And my coach, just the way he says it, he's like, Sarah, you're making weight. You're not giving up. And it's just he says it in a way where my only response is, okay. So it's definitely hard being there where you don't have that same connection you do with your own coaches. I wonder if, someone that he's known a bit longer would have been able to push him in a different way, get to know him, and what makes him tick.
Because what jumped out at me was the comparison to all the way back in the first season of The Ultimate Fighter when Bobby Southworth had to cut 20-plus pounds in the one day to fight Loden Kincaid, and Chuck Liddell and Josh Koscheck basically locked him in the sauna in a rubber suit and just locked him in there and kept dragging him back in there until he did make weight and he did win. I mean, that was, I think, the first really exposure to weight cutting, what these guys go through to the general public. Chuck Liddell was not going to have Bobby Southworth miss weight on his watch. So I guess the question is, should Misha and Brian have been a bit more militant in their attitude to make sure that Cody had made weight, Sarah?
I think so. I like Yeah, it's hard to explain, but I think when someone's more fierce and more like, you got to do this, it makes it easier. Sometimes when you're cutting weight, you're not in the same mental state that you are normally, so you can't really make those decisions, so you need someone sort of reliable to sort of force you to do what you need to do.
All right, what about it, Louis? If they had a little bit more of a hard-edged attitude and really forced Cody to go through the paces, would that have been to Cody's benefit in the end?
Honestly, I don't really think so. I think at the end of the day, he had made his decision, even prior to getting home at that point. I think he made his decision when he stopped kind of sweating in the sauna there. So, they could have locked him in there, but I think, at the end of the day, it's, he's a grown-up, he makes his own decisions, and that's all there is to it. The other thing is we were kind of in a time crunch. He had called it quits, and then the production company had, I think, already contacted Dana by the time he wanted to jump back in the bathtub, you know what I mean? So, we ran out of time, basically, and, I mean, if we had another 8 hours or 4 or 5 hours, then maybe, but I think he still could have made weight if he really wanted to, but I think he had made up his mind not to.
Why did he bother trying again after he drank all that water and it looked like he was eating some food as well? I mean, if he was having a hard enough time making it, without those things in his system, he had to know that no matter what he did after that, he wasn't going to make the weight. So, why do you think he even bothered trying again after that, Louis?
I think it's one of those things, like Sarah said, when you're dehydrated and hungry and thirsty, your brain's not working so hot, and then all of a sudden he got some liquids into him, some food into him, and I think he kind of snapped out of that phase where he wanted to just give up and go home. He was all of a sudden thinking, oh shit, what have I done here? What am I doing here? I gotta at least give it a try. And I think by that time it was a little bit too late. He already, like you said, drank some water, drank some coconut water, and eaten. So I think at that point it was a little bit too far gone.
Yeah. And Sarah, what did you think about Dana White's speech to Cody in front of everyone? Was that too harsh, or was that about right?
I think it's probably about right. I mean, he's sort of like real. He says what he's thinking. I think if I was in his shoes, I'd probably react the same way.
All right. What about you, Louis? Do you think that was about what should have happened, or was Dana a little too harsh?
I mean, I think it was about right, let's be honest. At the end of the day, Dana's making money off the show. He's putting money into us fighters and into us being there and feeding us and, housing us for the 6 weeks we're there. And, we're messing with his money now, right? We're messing with his business. So, and I think he was honestly upset about wasting time on Cody, and Cody also ruining someone else's opportunities,
Yeah, it's a fair point. What about Anthony? Was him taking the forfeit into the next round, was that the right decision to make, or would you have rather seen him cut weight again and actually go through and fight his way through, Louis?
I mean, ideally, I'd love to say, hey, don't be a bitch and cut weight the next day. But if I was in his shoes, I would have done the exact same thing, and I think he made the right decision. It's smarter for him, health-wise and just tournament-wise. He's there to win the tournament, and I would have taken the forfeit too.
What about you, Sarah? Would you have taken the forfeit as well?
Well, it was kind of funny because I was sort of in the same situation in some sort of ways. I was cutting weight and I was on weight, and I was thinking about if that were to happen to me. And when you're dehydrated and you can't think straight, like you can't even keep yourself in a sauna, I would have been stoked to have that get put through to the next round. But then once I hydrated, I was like, fuck that, I'm here to fight, So I think it's definitely difficult to make those decisions, especially when you're dehydrated. Fair
point. All right, great edition of He Said, She Said here on In the Cage with Bards. Louis Fisette, remind people where they can find you in the cyberspace world.
You can hit me up on Twitter, Instagram, Fisette MMA. So that's Fisette MMA, either on Instagram or Twitter.
And what about you, Cheesecake? Where are you in the internet world?
Follow me on Twitter at Sarah Cheesecake. Like my fan page, The Best Sarah Cheesecake Morris, and buy my T-shirt at fightforsomething.ca.
Buy the shirt. Sarah Morris and Louis Fisette here in the Cage with Bards on XportStar.com, and we'll be right back with more MMA goodness right after this.